My best advice to incoming students is to be open and to stay open. The students I love are the ones I meet before they've made a decision even, and they'll meet me in sort of a fair, university fair, or on a visit to the campus, and I'll say, what are you interested in? And they'll say, no. They have no idea, and they're so scared to admit that they're not sure what they want to do. And then I'll meet some that will give me an answer. And then I can see that that's literally the thing that they've been saying over and over. And so the advice is, here you had the opportunity I didn't have, that I fought for, which is a place where you can take a different direction. You can come in thinking you want to do one thing, and it's not impossible in that first year to just experiment, open up, see what other things you can do. We encourage that. Were you always interested in philosophy? Take a class in philosophy and see if you like that, right? What about a language? You really wanted to understand a bit more about Indigenous language and culture? Take a class. We're not committing to that, but what you're doing is remaining open to the idea that this could be something that I love. And you can mix it up here. It's so much easier. You don't have to fight. You can say, I want to do this weird thing and that weird thing, and it can come together. From the beginning of a class to the end of a class, if I can have students see in themselves and reflect, I grew so much. That's what I'm interested in. What did you learn about you? What did you learn about your capacity and your ability? For me to send them out of the university with that kind of confidence and the ability to understand they may not have met something, a new app, a new technology, it doesn't matter. They know they can face it, and they've dealt with it before, and they will deal with it again, and they will succeed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discover Days here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. My name is Jen Duggan. I'm a student recruitment officer here at UTM, and I'm actually joined by some outstanding colleagues tonight who are going to provide you with a fantastic opportunity to learn more about UTM. So as I said, my name is Jen, but I also have Deborah and I have Arianne that have joined me this evening. In the background, answering your questions, we also have Lewis and Cindy that are joining us. But right now, I think I want to pass it over to Deborah to introduce herself, and then we'll go to Arianne as well.
Why, thank you so much, Jen. My name is Deborah Peart. I'm a student recruitment officer as well with the University of Toronto, Mississauga. And Jen, I'm going to be in the back. I'm going to be taking questions, and at the end, I'm going to come back and ask you these questions. So I would appreciate if people put into the chat what their questions are, and I'll come back with them.
I love it. Thank you, Deborah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arianne. So glad you could all make it tonight. I'm the student ambassador that will be taking you on a virtual tour of the U of T Mississauga campus tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arianne. Thank you so much, Deborah. If you two want to head into the background, I'm going to take everyone on a presentation right now. It's not a tour, it's a presentation, but I'm taking you with me anyways. But before we really get into it, what I would like to do is just go over the land acknowledgement. So once I'm able to switch this slide for you, we'll get to that land acknowledgement. I apologize, I went a little too far ahead. So at the University of Toronto, we really want to acknowledge this land on which the U of T operates. For thousands of years, it's been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. And today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're truly grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So why the University of Toronto, Mississauga? there are a lot of things to take into consideration, a lot of things that you probably don't know about us. So this first slide just goes over some of the interesting things that you might know. A few really quick, really fun facts. We are home to just over 15,000 undergraduate students here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. And we also have more than 180 different program options for you to choose from that span across 18 different academic areas. So what that means for you is that you have a lot of choice with what you can pick and choice with how you can build your U of T degree when you're studying with us here at UTM. Now, why do students choose the University of Toronto, Mississauga? There are a lot of different reasons, but as you can see from this slide, these reasons are kind of personal, and they're things that you might want to consider as you're contemplating UTM as your home away from home and your place to pursue your U of T education. So first and foremost, you're going to get that outstanding University of Toronto internationally recognized academic degree. You're being taught by world-renowned professors and faculty that are coming to us from all across the globe. It's an outstanding experience for you. We also have absolutely outstanding, innovative, contemporary, and green campus environments for you to learn from and live on. I love the campus that we're on. And one of my favorite things is that here at UTM, we're not likely to tear down the woods that surround us. We're more likely to actually tear down old buildings or tear up parking lots that no longer suit the purpose that we're looking for and build something new and green and innovative and student-centric so that you can learn in these environments. We are also home to incredibly unique programs such as forensic science, which is the premier forensic science program in Canada and has actually had a hand in developing all of the other forensics programs that we have here. In addition to that, we have theater and drama studies, which is a joint program between Sheridan College and the University of Toronto. And then we also are home to CCIT, which is Communication, Culture, Information, and Technology, which is an absolutely fantastic program. You're also going to find that we have a lot of really great opportunities for students to engage in our community. So there's lots of community relationships that you can build. There's lots of supports that are in place to make sure that your transition from high school all the way through university goes as smooth as possible. We are a really global campus as well. So you will find that the population that inhabits UTM comes from all around the world. So there truly is a place for everyone here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Now, when it comes to the programs that we offer, remember, there's more than 180 different programs that you can choose from across the areas of arts, science, and business. Again, that's going to include some of those specialized programs that I just spoke about. So forensic science, ICCIT, so communication, culture, information, and technology, as well as that theater program. And don't forget, we also have programs in the arts, which would span your humanities, for example. So if you're looking for English, if you're looking for criminology or language studies, they'll be there. Social sciences as well, so political science is on the table and a bunch of other areas like that. We do have the sciences, whether it's the life sciences, which would be popular for those of you that are thinking of health sciences or biology, as well as the chemical and physical sciences for you. And then we also have programs that span business, both management and commerce for you to choose from. So there's a ton that you can choose from just right here on a very small campus that's home to about 15,000 students sitting on beautiful 225 acres of protected green space. Now, when you come to UTM, there are things that we're going to encourage you to do, and that includes getting involved, whether that's getting involved in student politics, whether that's getting involved in one of the many clubs that we have here on campus, varsity or college varsity sports or intramurals. There's a lot of ways that you're going to be able to get involved. Some of those areas are actually going to be, for example, challenging yourself and going on an international exchange or taking some of those courses that allow you to travel. We're going to encourage you to seize those opportunities, and there are a lot of them. So not just international exchange, which we'll do once we can travel safely again, but you also have research opportunities, you have work study opportunities, and these are really great ways to start developing the skill set that you have that you'll take with you when you graduate and you go and get into that career that you hopefully absolutely want to get into. And then we're also going to encourage you to know your resources. So what supports do we have in place that you're going to want to use to help that transition from high school all the way through university and beyond. And these supports could include the Robert Gillespie Academic Skills Center. It could include the Career Center, which you have access to for 2 years post-graduation to help you kind of refine your resume and make sure that you're in the right industry that you're looking for. We've got, professors and teaching assistants that have office hours for you. In the office of the registrar, you also have access to academic advisors and financial aid advisors as well. So there are lots of supports that are in place to make sure that you have everything that you need to succeed when you're studying with us here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. We also have outstanding international student experiences. So we are home to just over 3,000 international students here at UTM. I did mention earlier that we have that great, solid global network. And if you're looking for that international exchange, we have more than 120 different partner institutions that we can pair you up with. And again, they span multiple countries, so more than 40 countries around the world. We have really great resources on campus as well, such as the International Education Center that is there to help support you both in your application, but also, as you're preparing to start with us at UTM, and then again throughout your career with us here at the university. We're also going to encourage you to really engage with, athletics and sports and recreation here on campus. So there's lots of virtual programs that are happening right now because we are all virtual thanks to COVID. But when we're back in person, there's a lot of really cool, personal activities that you're going to be able to participate in. There's the Varsity Eagles, which would be the college varsity teams that you can engage in if you're interested here at UTM. We also have the Varsity Blues, which is the overall varsity sports team here at the University of Toronto. There's lots of intramural sports for you, fitness and recreation. We have an outstanding pool. I absolutely love the pool. So if you're interested in aquatics, we've got that for you as well. And I do encourage anyone that's listening, when you join us, go ahead and start the any sort of activity that you want to, but I'm really interested in the pool noodle fencing team that I know a few other schools have. I want it. It sounds hilarious. And we can talk about that a little bit later, perhaps in the question and answers a little bit later on. So moving on to the next slide here. Some of the things that you probably want to consider starting now, even if you haven't applied, is you want to start thinking about things like, where am I going to live? What does residence look like? How do I build a community when I'm at the University of Toronto, Mississauga? So student housing and residence life is available for you. We have spaces for 1,500, actually more than that, more than 1,500 students to live on campus with us in a wide variety of settings, whether it's townhome, whether it's traditional dorm style residence, they're all available for you. And residence options are guaranteed for students that are coming directly into first year. You just want to make sure that you complete the application by the deadline, and we're going to make sure that you know exactly when that deadline is so that you don't miss it. You also want to start thinking about ways that you can actually pay for your education. And entrance awards and scholarships are fantastic options for you. So here you can see on this slide that we have automatic entrance scholarships that start at a 90% average and they go higher. Now, these scholarships, although they're pretty impressive, we do know that they have pretty significant grades that you have to meet. But this isn't the only way to get scholarships here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. In fact, you're going to be able to check out the Award Explorer and see all the different scholarships that we offer. Some of them are going to have an application that you have to fill out. And I encourage you to do it. Fill out all the applications that apply to you, and hopefully you'll be able to receive that money. And then also take a look at scholarships that exist outside of the university, because there's a ton of them. And free money is the best money in the world. So absolutely grab what you can in those scholarships. It doesn't take long to complete the applications to do so, and it can definitely pay off for you. Now, keep in mind as well that there's some really large scholarships that do either have an application, or perhaps you need to be referred or nominated for a particular scholarship. And some of the ones that we have listed here on the screen are absolutely impressive. So a $7,500 U of T Scholars Award. You have the $10,000 President Scholar Award as well. The National Scholarship program that we have here as well. The applications, they come due. A lot of the deadlines are going to be, in the fall, so typically in November. But look at that. You actually have full tuition and housing that can come to you as well. And our scholarships are divided between domestic students, so students that are Canadian residents, permanent residents, protected persons, and then international students as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can actually get some money to help you go to school. Now, one of the things that we've done to make sure that this whole application process isn't that confusing and that you have a nice one-stop shop to access all of those different scholarships and housing options that are there is your Join U of T applicant website. This is a web portal that is for you specifically. It allows you to track your application, to access any of those additional applications, whether it's for scholarships, whether it's a link to your awards profile, or a link to residence. You'll be able to find it in your Join U of T web portal. In addition to that, it's also where you're going to be able to find your offer of admission and any conditions that go along with that offer of admission. Now, speaking of offers, we have a timeline when it comes to applying all the way through to when you're going to receive an admissions decision. So January is typically the deadline for students to apply. This past year, I believe it was January 14th. And for students that apply by that deadline, fantastic. You're on track to receive an offer of admission or an admissions decision, usually by the end of May of the following year. We do open up those applications, usually I would say in the middle of the fall. So by October, they should be up and running and you'll be able to access them in your grade 12 year, or if you're planning to transfer from college or university, or you've been out of school for a little while, you'll still be able to access the applications at that point. So January is typically the deadline. If you are looking to receive an earlier admission decision, you will find that there are certain deadlines that are posted perhaps in November that you kind of want to gear yourself to and meet that deadline so that you can receive a decision a little bit earlier. And in between January to April, that's where we're going to ask you to submit any additional information that we need. So that could be a supplementary application. If we need it, it could be a language proficiency test if we require you to take that. It might be actually fulfilling your audition requirements if you're applying to theater and drama studies. But all of these things will be due sometime between January and April. Now, February to May is where decisions are typically sent out. When we're looking at your academics, we will look at your grade 12 marks or your senior level marks. We will look at predicted grades if you're required to submit them, but we may also look at grade 11 grades. So make sure that you do your best in high school so that you can get those grades. And if at any time there's a circumstance that pops up that may actually, kind of explain away a particular grade that you have, we do encourage you to reach out to us. And you can absolutely do that either through your Join U of T web portal, or you can contact us just at the admissions and recruitment office. We can help you out. And then at the very end, your deadline to accept your offer, usually in May, but for Ontario high school students, it's typically going to fall at the beginning of June. So you want to make sure you're doing your research and you're doing your campus tours, whether they're in person or virtual. You want to make sure that you're getting those grades that are required so that you can indeed receive that admissions decision that works in your favor and you can accept that offer by June. So that's really it for my portion of the presentation, but I do want to make sure that you know that you can reach out to us at any time. You can connect with our office. We are student recruitment and admissions. The office is currently closed due to COVID. However, we're all still working. So please feel free. You can reach out, you can give us a call, you can send us an email. You can connect with us on social media as well. I have to tell you, the Instagram account is on fire. It's fantastic. It's run by current students. They do such a great job. I never would have been able to pull that off when I was in university. So I'm so totally impressed and I encourage you to check it out. What I want to do right now is I want to pull back Arianne and have Arianne take you on a campus tour. Arianne, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm ready.
Excellent. I can't wait because I always learn something new. So I'm going to pass the torch over to you. I will join you again after your tour. I'll see you soon, everyone.
Okay. So hello once again, everyone. My name is Arianne, and I'm an incoming fourth year student. I just finished my third year, and I'm pursuing a double major in political science and French. So I just wanted to share a little bit about myself. I am a student ambassador, campus events for student recruitment and admissions, which is part of the work study program. And I also want to share another fun fact about myself, which is that I was born in the Philippines and I moved to Canada when I was 8. This is actually a picture of me and my family before we boarded our flight to Canada. So I'm actually the incoming president for the Filipino Student Association, and I'll be talking more in depth about what I've been involved with throughout my time in undergrad. So I'll be taking you in this tour through all the buildings on campus, as well as where my favorite spots are to grab a bite to eat and my favorite study spots. So now let's start with the Kneff Center and Innovation Complex. So this is the Kneff Center and Innovation Complex. And before I was actually pursuing my current majors, I was enrolled in commerce in my first year. And this is because at the end of the day, my career goal is to become a lawyer. And I thought maybe I'm interested in corporate law. So why don't I get the background for that? So I applied to commerce and I got in. But in addition to taking my commerce courses, I was also taking elective courses like political science and French. And while I was taking these elective courses, I was really interested in what I was learning. And so I decided maybe, commerce is not for me and I'm going to completely pursue political science and French. But in my first year, one of the courses I did have to take was Eco 100, which is Introduction to Economics. And this is an extremely popular first year course. In each lecture, you'll find about 300 plus students, and KN 137 is a lecture hall where it was typically held. But if you find the large lectures to be intimidating, not to worry. You can go to the Eco Aid Room or the Economics Aid Room, and this is where professors and teaching assistants have their office hours. So teaching assistants or TAs are students typically in their upper year students or maybe they're graduate students. And they teach tutorials and practicals, and what they do is you practice the practical components that you're taught in lecture. So I actually went to the Eco Aid Room a lot in my first and second year because I was taking a lot of eco courses. Kneff Center and Innovation Complex also home to the Office of the Registrar. So this is typically a great stop for a lot of students, especially in September when they're figuring out their courses, because you can come here for student success support, academic support, as well as financial aid supports. And of course, you'll also find student recruitment and admissions here, which is a division within the Office of the Registrar. So as I mentioned earlier, I do work as a student ambassador at campus events, but previously I was working on community engagement. So what I did was I essentially help out in brainstorming events where we can engage with you, our prospective students and applicants. So you may have seen our past events, such as the UTM student panel, Ask Me Anything, or what you can see on the screen right now is our IGTV series, UT Minute. And essentially this is Toby, one of our community ambassadors, and she was essentially sharing with you, our followers, what it was like adjusting to online learning. But in the past, I've also been a tour ambassador for the office. I volunteered some time out of my day to give tours to prospective students and their families. So throughout this tour, you'll actually find that a lot of the buildings on campus are connected. So the building that's connected to this is the William G. Davis building. So this is the William G. Davis building, and it was actually very recently renovated. So some of the resources that you can find here are the Center for Student Engagement, or CSE. And in my second year, I actually worked as a peer leadership coach where I facilitated the UTM lead seminars. So basically, there are a series of workshops where students can gain leadership skills outside of the classroom. So when you participate in activities like this, you can actually earn a notation on your co-curricular record, or CCR. And basically, it's a transcript of all the involvements that you've had throughout your undergraduate career. So CSE also organizes a lot of events for students, one of which is a series of academic department orientations, or ADOs. And in my first year, I actually attended the Commerce ADO, and I learned a lot about how to leverage my resources to have a successful first year. You can also find the Career Center in this building, and essentially what they do is they organize mock interviews and resume critique. And because I attended these workshops and had help with my resume and all of that, I really feel that I earned skills which presented me as a strong candidate and led me to be hired for work-study jobs. But now let's head on over to our next stop, which is the Recreation, Athletics, and Wellness Center. So this is the Recreation Athletics and Wellness Center, or more commonly known to students as the ROC. And actually, this is where UTM is hosting the Trillium Health Partners Vaccine Clinic. So aside from it being an athletic facility, of course, it includes a lot of workout gym facilities. So before the pandemic, I would actually squeeze in a little bit of time to work out. I'd go to the gym, and it's great because like the membership fees are already included in my incidental fees, which are already paid for within my tuition. So if I ever just wanted to access it, I would just show the staff my student card or my T card, and I'd be able to access the facilities. So over on what you can see on the screen right now is actually the track that runs around the building. So it's really cool because it has different speeds as well, whether you just want to go for a walk around the track, or you want to jog, or you want to run completely. But other than that, there are also many drop-in classes available at the ROC. So one of which I went to was the Yoga Lattes class, and it's really great classes, like other ones that you have Zumba as well as an option. Of course, ROC also offers women's only hours. So essentially what this means is that a portion of the gym is closed, and only those who identify as female are able to access that portion of the facilities. So I've done this in the past as well. But because we are in a pandemic, as Jen mentioned earlier, they have moved their programming online, so students can still participate in one of two ways. So they can attend live Zoom meetings for fitness classes, or they can watch recorded sessions after. Now we'll be headed over to the Communication, Culture, and Technology building. So this is the Communication, Culture, and Technology building, but we usually call it CCT. And what you can find in here are one of the two largest lecture halls on campus, which is CC 1080. This lecture hall holds about a max of 500 students. And, in your first year, classes do tend to be large, like MGM 101, which is Introduction to Management Functions. So this is a very popular first year course. Students who intend to pursue commerce management or digital enterprise management have to take this course. But of course, there are students who take it as an elective as well. So the reason why lectures tend to be large in your first year is because a lot of students have to take it as a prerequisite course. And a lot of first year students do take it. So it really tends to be large, but you have the opportunity in your tutorials and your practicals to really have that hands-on learning and to get to know your peers in a smaller setting. Now we'll head to the UTM service desk, which is also in this building. And what you can do here is actually set up your T card. So in the past, around June, sometime around then is where you would reset up your T card, which is your student card. And essentially, it's a really important card because not only does it serve as your identification, but you can also use it to access services like shuttle or printing. And then you also set up your UToronto email as well. So this is how your professors will contact you, how you'll get information about your courses, things like that, which is very, very important, especially in the beginning of the year around September. So now let's head on over to the building that is connected to CCT, which is the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center. So this is the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center, or its acronym HMALC, or simply known as the library. So what's great about this is that you can actually find a Starbucks right across from it. So if whenever you want to have a study break, you can just walk over, line up, and grab a quick cup of coffee. But other than that, of course, it's a prime study space. So a lot of students come here to study, and I always tell first years, you have to come early to pick out a good spot for yourself because it does tend to get full during the afternoons. And what's great about it is it's also open 24/7 during exam season. So outside of regular operating hours, you would just have to show your T card and they'll let you in. You can also book study rooms in here, and you can use it either to study with friends or to do group projects or to have club meetings as well. However, it is a great space, but it's actually not my favorite place to study, and I'll tell you all about that space later. What I do love about the library, however, is that I've borrowed so many things that you wouldn't even know I would be able to borrow. So let's start with textbooks. So we call them course reserves, and in my second year, I actually did not buy a single textbook. I decided, there's only one course that needed a textbook, and it was available through the library. So I was able to borrow this book for 2 hours, and I only did it like once per week. And it actually kept me on top of my work because, I knew I had to come in to do my homework, and it allowed me to stay on top of the class. You can also buy a calculator here. I mean, you could borrow a calculator here. And in my first year, I was also taking a course called Mat 133, which is a mathematics course for commerce. And I actually had a test and I forgot my calculator. But the library came through for me and they let me borrow one like 5 minutes before my test. And in the study rooms as well, I don't know if you noticed in one of the pictures, there's also whiteboards in there. And if you want to make use of the whiteboards, you can borrow whiteboard markers and eraser here. And lastly, this is the one that surprised me the most, but in my second year, for my French film class, I had to watch movies, but I found out that my laptop did not have a DVD player. And you know what? I was able to borrow an external DVD player from the library. So I was able to borrow it for like 5 hours, which gave me enough time to watch my movie. So that was really, really convenient. But now we're actually going to make our way over to the instructional center. So this is the instructional center, but you can simply refer to it as IB. And it's actually a building that isn't affiliated with any academic departments. It's just a building full of lecture halls and lots of study spaces. So what you can find here is the other large lecture hall on campus. So this is IB 110, and it's also a 500-seater hall. So the course that I took in this lecture hall was Mat 133, which I mentioned earlier. And right now, it's been modified to allow for social distancing back when students came in for in-person classes in the fall. You can also find the shuttle bus stop to go downtown. I myself did not take any courses at U of T St. George, so far anyway, but I found it to be very convenient for commuting downtown. And what's great about it is that for UTM students, there's a perk. It's already paid for within your incidental fees and your tuition. So every time you want to take the shuttle bus, you don't have to pay additional fare every time. And of course, this tour would not be complete without talking about the food options. So here at IB, we have lots of amazing food options. We have quesada for burrito bowls. Subway, I really miss a sub of the day. I was just really great to be able to grab it as a meal after classes. And of course, bento sushi. So actually at bento sushi, I ordered this rice bowl, which you can see on screen, and I just really miss it. But you know what? Once I'm able to come back for in-person classes, I'm going to order that right away. So now here's my favorite part of the tour. We're going to head on over to my favorite building on campus, which is Manjiway and Moan. So this is Manjiway and Moan, or MN, and it's actually the newest building on campus. And the name is actually indigenous and it means a gathering of minds. So this building is home to the departments of political science and language studies, which is perfect because those are both my majors. And if you know me, I'm a huge advocate of going to professors and your TA's office hours because they're always been super helpful for me, and I really get the chance to focus on the material that I'm having trouble with. And attending office hours is also a really great way of building professional relationships with your professors. You can also find the Robert Gillespie Academic Skills Center, and this is a great resource for essay writing, math skills, study skills. And I usually come here for help with my political science essays, and they're great because they can help you at any stage of the process. So whether you've just started to brainstorm for what you want to write about in your essay, or if you've already written it and you just want to revise it, they're really great. They also organize facilitated study groups, or FSGs. So there are typically lots of FSGs offered for first year courses, but they also offer it for some upper year courses. So for example, I took FRE 272, which is about the structure of modern French and introduction. It's basically an intro to French linguistics course. And they actually had an FSG for it. And it was really great because not only did I get to know my peers, but I also got advice from students who previously took this course and, they were really successful and they found what really helped them succeed, like what study skills they had. And of course, I'm not sure if you've heard, but a lot of movies are filmed at UTM. And so actually in the summer of 2019, Disney was filming Zombies 2. And I was actually giving a tour to a family. And at the time, I was able to walk them through MN because they weren't filming yet, but the set was ready. And so I was able to take them through the prom set in the movie. And, I even got to like watch the movie when it came on Disney Plus. I was like, that's UTM. I know it's right there. It was really nice. Of course, there's also lots of study spaces here. So it's very aesthetic and I feel productive every time I'm in here. And during weekends, I actually used to come to campus because the classrooms are vacant and I could watch a movie on the large projector screens while I do my work. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh my gosh, you go to campus even on weekends? Yes, because I love campus and I'm really productive every time I come. And the last thing I want to talk about in regards to this building is the active learning classrooms. So in first year, I took this course called UTM 195, which is Curiosity and Control, Voyages of Discovery to North America. And this course is part of the UTM One Scholars program offered by the Center for Student Engagement. So this is a really great program because there's only max 25 students, which is uncommon for a first year course. And you're able to really build relationships with your peers as well as your professor. And I really got I learned a lot about research and how to conduct it, which is really great for when I take it into my upper years. So in these active learning classrooms, as you can see on the picture, it's not your typical lecture hall. If you ever wanted to participate, you'd always have to project and it's really hard for the professor to hear you. But what's great here is that there's these like saucer looking things on the tables and it's actually a microphone. So you can speak into that and everyone in the class will be able to hear you. And there's also lots of like projector screens on each of the whiteboards. So if you're familiar with smartboard technology, you're able to interact with the boards that way. So now we're actually going to head on over to the building that's connected to MN, which is Deerfield Hall. So this is Deerfield Hall, and when it first opened, there was actually a naming contest, and they took submissions from everyone in the community, and a staff member actually suggested Deerfield Hall because it was very fitting of the environment on our campus. And what you can find here are actually lots of deer. So there's a field in front of Deerfield Hall. I know, wow, field. But there's also like lots of deer that hang out around there. And no matter how long you've been at UTM, whether you're a first year student or a longtime staff member, everyone always stops in their tracks, takes a picture, and then goes about the rest of their day. Everyone at UTM always loved the deer. A great resource you can find in here is the Math Learning Center. So I did mention earlier, I took Math 133 and I found it to be a little bit challenging. So what helped a lot with my math learning skills was going to TA's office hours in this center. So it's great because even if my TA wasn't available at the time, there are TAs from other math courses that are still able to help you out. And of course, one of my professors actually held drop-in study hours here as well. So whenever you had trouble with an assignment or you wanted to get more assistance with homework questions, this was really great and you could work with other people taking the course as well. Of course, there's lots of study spaces available in this building as well. So once again, you can book study rooms for meetings or to study or work on group projects, but there are also designated meeting spaces here and in MN as well. And I know we have not one, but 2 Starbucks at UTM. So if you ever find that the lineup is too long at the one across the library, you can always come to the one in Deerfield Hall. But now we're actually heading to our final stop of the tour, which is the Student Center. So this is the Student Center, and it's the hub of all student life on campus. So what you can find here is the University of Toronto Mississauga Students Union, or the UTMSU, as well as CFRE Radio, which is our on-campus radio. So one of the things that the UTMSU has done for us is student advocacy. And so what they did in the past was our most recent winter break, they actually had a petition that was circulated to get it extended, and we actually won. But of course, you can find lots of clubs and academic societies here. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm part of the Filipino Student Association. And essentially what we do is we really try to promote Filipino culture to the campus and to the students. We've done a lot of collaborations with other culture clubs as well, such as the Vietnamese Student Association, the Canadian Asian Student Society. And what we do is we organize a lot of meet and greets and all-you-can-eat events. But of course, with the pandemic, the delivery of our programming has changed. So what that actually opened us to is we've been able to collaborate with the other Filipino student associations at the other U of T campuses. So there's one at University of Toronto St. George and University of Toronto Scarborough. And what's great about that is you don't have to be a student at that campus in order to participate in student life. So if there's a certain club that's only available at St. George, being a U of T student allows you to participate in those clubs and their activities and just, take the shuttle bus to commute there, which is really, really great. Of course, the student center is also connected to the Blind Duck Pub, where you can buy food and Cha Time. So Cha Time is a really popular shop to grab bubble tea, and my go-to order is the Cha Time Pearl Milk Tea. But they've also organized pub nights here. So in my first year during Halloween, my friends and I attended the Halloween pub, and we actually dressed up as UTM cheerleaders, which does not exist at the campus. But you know what? We won best group costume anyway. And another resource here is the My Way bus terminal. Now, the bus terminal is actually located closer to Davis, but you can pick up your My Way U passes in the beginning of the year at the Student Center. And it's great because it's already included in your incidental fees and your tuition, so you don't have to pay additional fare every single time you hop on a My Way bus. Whether you're just commuting around Mississauga or trying to get to campus, you just have to show the bus driver your T card and your U pass, and you're able to just, commute that way. So that actually brings me to the end of my campus tour. I hope everyone got to learn a little bit more about UTM through my lens as a current student. I always say to everyone, there's so much that you can get from UTM. There's so many resources that it can offer you. And I really hope that you choose to apply here, or if you've already applied here, I hope to see you virtually in the fall. Thank you for listening. Now let's hear back from Jen.
Arianne, I absolutely love it when you take us on a tour. I learn something new from you every single time. And I do think that the best way to experience the UTM campus when you're first learning about it is through the eyes of a current student. It's also great to do it when you're on campus, but we have actually a really cool opportunity that can go very nicely hand in hand with your tour, Arianne, and that's the virtual tour that we've just completed. It's absolutely phenomenal. It doesn't have Arianne in it, so it's lacking in that department, but it's still pretty awesome. Arianne, I have to say thank you so much. I want you to stick around because I'm going to pull Deborah back to ask us some of the questions that are in the chat, and I think you're the perfect person to answer some of these questions. Deborah, great. How are the questions going?
I got to tell you, Jen, Arianne, we have been busy back here. We have some absolutely amazing questions. Questions I don't recall ever being asked before. Ooh. So yes. So what I would like to do is to start with a question from Laura. And Laura says, hello, can we play in tri-campus teams even if we have never practiced the sport before?
You can play sports. That's a fantastic question, by the way, Laura. It's fantastic. You have an opportunity to get involved in intramural sports across the board. And there are a lot of them. I know I mentioned the underwater pool noodle fencing. I wasn't kidding. If you want to start that team, absolutely start that team. Apparently you have to sink a pool noodle and poke your opponent a bunch of times to gain points. But if that doesn't happen, there's a ton of different ways that you can get involved in sports just on campus. And don't forget, there's also varsity sports. Now, varsity teams, you're probably going to have a bit of experience under your belt, and you're going to want to connect with the coaches for the teams, both at the Varsity Blues, which is the overall University of Toronto athletic team, varsity team that we have. But even for the Mississauga Eagles, so if you're at the UTM Eagles team and you're looking to join the college varsity, you'll probably want to join the coaches for more information there. But intramurals, go for it. Have fun. Embrace it all.
Intramural is definitely more my speed, Jen.
Mine too.
Arianne, did you ever take part in any sports at all?
I did like the drop-in hours in the gym. So they actually do like drop-in volleyball and drop-in badminton and of course basketball. So if you just want to play with your friends in a casual setting, that's available too.
It is. Now, I have another question here from Antonio. And this is more related to COVID as a whole. So maybe if you could answer this question a bit more broadly, Jen. Will there be open facilities, for example, a campus gym, cafe, food, etc.?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And I hear similar questions or questions built on the same kind of idea quite often in all the presentations and meetings that I host. And so when we're thinking about COVID-19 and we're thinking about the impact here at the university, first and foremost, we are planning for in-person classes. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We're hoping that we can open up all the facilities to the students that are joining us in September. But at the same time, we're also making sure that we listen very carefully to the various levels of government and what their recommendations are, along with public health. So our goal is to make sure that when you join us, you stay happy, healthy, safe, and highly educated. All of that is a package. So yes, we are hoping that we're going to have all of these things open for you. But again, we're going to make sure that we take our direction from the people who actually know a little bit more about this than we do. That being said, we're going to make sure that you stay up to date and we make sure that you've got access to all the information that you need. And at the end of the day, if things stay a little bit sideways and we can't be all together in September, we're going to make sure that we bring your U of T education to you where you are. So there's going to be lots of opportunities, to learn and even have orientation online if that's the way it has to be. But right now, fingers crossed, in person in September.
Wonderful. Arianne, did you have any courses? What was it like for you during this last academic year?
Yeah, so this past year, I actually chose to have completely online. I did have the option of choosing in person if I wanted to, but I chose, just to be on the safer side, I chose to have online classes. But, even if when I chose that option, I didn't really feel like I missed out on anything because I still was able to go to my office hours virtually. I even participated a lot more than I normally do. And I got to make new friends because everyone is always making study groups out there. So I was still able to make new friends in my program.
Arianne, it sounds like you made the best of it.
I did. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I have this next question here from Moniz. I haven't got my acceptance yet. When are all of the decisions, when will they be released? Because I have to start making my decisions pretty soon. So I think this is a question that a lot of people might have on their mind, Jen.
And it is. I'm sure it is. I've talked to a lot of students that have that same question on their mind. And what I have to say is take a deep breath. We still have a really large round of admissions decisions that will be going out by the end of May. So sit tight, feel free. If you start feeling a little bit, stressed about this, you can always reach out to us in the Office of Admission and Recruitment, and we will make sure that we can pull up your account just to see where you're sitting and kind of refresh your memory that there's still a really big chunk of admissions decisions to go out. I say just embrace the excitement of it. But if you do need to reach out to us, we're always here for you, but also sit tight.
What's that saying you have, Jen? Don't borrow
stress that's not yours.
Don't borrow stress that's not yours.
Yeah, if you can't control it, let it go. Let us control it. We've been doing this for almost 200 years, so we've got this under control. We'll take that stress from you. You just take the excitement.
That's right, Jen. That's right. Now, I have another question here from Antonio, who is asking about scholarships. So the question is about, can Antonio apply for merit-based scholarships? And I hope, Jen, maybe you could talk a bit more about those entrance scholarships as well.
Absolutely. So, Antonio, your question about applying for scholarships. One thing that maybe we can actually put into the chat for students to grab a hold of is the link to the Award Explorer. So the Award Explorer will allow you to actually sort scholarships by, different definitions. So if you're looking for an international scholarship or a scholarship for students living in Brampton, for example, you might be able to sort those out. If a scholarship in Award Explorer is still available for you to apply, it will literally say yes and apply right beside it. And it's a clickable link, so you can hit that link. It will take you to the application page and you can apply. That being said, a lot of students have actually been considered for automatic entrance scholarships. And I will say that for students that are in Ontario, so you're an Ontario high school student, or you're basically that's your category, if we have the opportunity to reassess your grades at the end of your academic term, we will reassess and see if we can provide you either with a scholarship or with a larger scholarship amount. Now, this isn't necessarily a guarantee that happens year over year over year. So what I suggest for all of you is to keep checking your email and your Join U of T web portal so that you can see any update that we give you with respect to those scholarships, because if we can reassess, we definitely will.
Wonderful. And Arianne, I'm wondering, can you tell us a bit more about those in-course scholarships?
Oh yeah. So how I mentioned I went to those academic department orientations for commerce. So that's actually how I found out about 2 awards I could apply for. So one of them was the Mississauga Board of Trade Commerce Scholarship. I'm not completely sure about the full name, but I did win that one. And essentially you get you get money just for being a good student and for being involved and for just being all around. The other one is also called the Transition Titan. That one's provided by the Department of Management for first-year students. And you also get $500 for sharing what's leadership for you in the UTM community and how does that relate to your program. So some of them are application-based, but as long as you have good recommendation, you're extremely involved right away in your first year, you really do have the opportunity to become part of these.
Yes, you do. And Arianne, you're talking about getting involved. And yeah. I'm hoping that maybe you can talk a bit about O Week. What does that look like virtually and in person? And what is it about?
Right. So O Week is organized by the Center for Student Engagement. Now, when it was my first year, it was in person, and they do a lot of sessions. So one of the things that has still stayed with me to this day is the session held by the International Education Center, or the IEC, because I knew right off the bat from first year that I really, really wanted to do a summer abroad. And they actually told us about this is what you need to apply, this is what it looks like, costs that you may need, bursaries that you can apply for, opportunities that are available to you. So they had a session during orientation week. And then you also have those academic department orientations. And online, I'm not completely aware of what they've done, but I know that a lot of students still went to it and they were still able to meet with other students and get to know professors as well, because they had those panels.
And you get to know about the clubs too, right?
Yeah, they also have Clubs Week, which is organized by the UTMSU, which usually happens around September as well. And over 120 plus clubs on campus, so you have a wide variety to choose from, whether that's cultural or sports or interest-based. And new clubs always show up every year. So you have that opportunity.
It's amazing. Or you could start your own club if we don't have it already.
Exactly. A lot of students do find their own clubs, which is great.
Excellent.
Underwater pool noodle fencing. I'm just throwing it out there for an intramural sport. Go ahead and start it.
I don't think I'll be a part of that, Jen, but I love the idea.
I just want to cheer it on.
So now I have a question. We're going to change gears completely. Monis wants to know, when's the last day to apply for residence and how can somebody apply?
Fantastic. Monis, you can actually apply right now. Now, the deadline was actually at the end of March, on March 31st, for the first stage of applications, but you can actually still apply right now. If you head on over to the Residence and Student Life website, and perhaps we can put that in the chat so that you can see it as well. You'll be able to actually complete that application now. You'll be put on a wait list. My understanding is that the wait list actually moves quite quickly. So definitely, if you have any questions, you can also reach out to Residence and Student Life. They'll be able to give you more information. And when you go to their website, if you're actually on the website during regular working hours, so I would say between 9 in the morning to about 4 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, you can actually chat with a live person. It's a bit of a chat bot, but it's not a bot. It's a real person there. So you can actually ask your questions and get an answer immediately, or at least redirection to who you want to reach out to regarding your application. For those of you that have indeed applied for residence, then you actually have a couple of deadlines that are coming up in order to be able to complete the next step and say, yes, give me a spot in residence. And that would be June 10th, I believe, where you're going to pay a deposit. You'll also be able to rank your applications. And for those of you that are just joining us and you haven't even applied, keep residence on the top of your mind, because res is available for all first-year students coming to UTM, and they are fantastic. There's so many benefits to res as well.
Now, there's a subsequent question to this residence question, which is, when do I get to choose the type of living arrangements I'd like to have? Do I get to pick my roommate?
Well, no, you don't get to pick your roommate, but you do get to rank your residence choices. And then we take it's basically a student profile of the things that make you who you are. And we try to eHarmony match you up with somebody that has very similar interests. So I can't take any credit for it because I don't work in residence, but let me say, res is pretty outstanding when it comes to making those great partnerships. So definitely take a look at what options are available. You do get to rank your residence choices in that second stage of the application process. So the first stage is, in March when you say, yes, save me a room. And then the second stage is after you've accepted your offer of admission. And then in June, you say, yes, definitely give me a spot in residence. Here's my deposit. These are the choices of residence that I want. And here's my completed profile of who I am as a person. Match me up with somebody awesome.
Yes, yes. Now, Arianne, I want to ask you about the faculty members that we have at UTM, and how can a first-year student go about developing a relationship with faculty members?
Right. So in my first year, I was actually very, very shy. Like, I was kind of scared to go to office hours in the beginning. But what kind of got me started on the right path was starting off with, at the end of class, you really do have the opportunity to ask your professor questions. So right at the end of lecture, there's always a lineup of students asking questions about the material. And then from then on, after you've asked your question and you realize, oh, there's so much more to it, the professor would be like, why don't you come to my office hours? And some of them have it right after class. So you just get to walk with them from the lecture hall to where their office hours is. And so that was really convenient. You can also send an email if you're not comfortable. Of course, with the full virtual setting due to the pandemic, that's how I've been starting my communications. So if I have questions, I just send them an email right away. However, because we are in a pandemic, we have to be understanding that professors have a lot of emails to answer. So what you can do is you can also just go during their open virtual office hours, because they'll give you that time, and usually it's 2 hours, so you have all that time just to ask them questions. And even if you don't have questions about the material, you can ask them about, for example, what they're researching on. So you have that option as well if you want to in the future be involved in a research project with them.
Exactly, an ROP, a research opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have this question I'd like to ask to Jen from Habiba. And Jen, you're an expert when it comes to those alternate offers that a student may get. Can you tell us, can a student actually change the program that they received an alternate offer from?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Habiba, that's a great question. And the answer is yes, but the answer is almost, you may not want to. But the answer is yes, but you also may not want to. So I also received an alternate offer when I was in university. And at first I was like, oh, this means I'm not good enough. I'm not a great enough student to get in. Not true at all. At all. An alternate offer actually means that you are a great student and we want you to study with us here at the university. So an alternate offer is given to students usually based on the areas that we know that you're strongest in. And what happens when you actually join us is that you're not really affiliated with a program just yet. When you apply to us, you apply into an admissions category. And so when we admit you to the university, you are admitted to an admissions category with the opportunity to use your first year to explore a whole bunch of different courses in different areas. if there is a program area that you really, really want to be in, you can actually use our program plans. You can meet with academic advisors. You can even meet with departmental advisors to make sure that you're taking the right courses and you're getting the right grades. And at the end of your first year, usually in the spring, after you've completed 4.0 credits or 8 semestered courses, that's when you can say, I've met the requirements, I have the right grades, I took the right courses, I now want to select whatever program as your program of study for the remainder of your time here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. It's really easy to do. If you decide, perhaps you were given an alternate campus offer, so you not only were given an alternate offer to a different program, or perhaps the same program, but on the Mississauga campus, that too is exactly the same. You're awesome. We want you to study with us. We perhaps couldn't have gotten you into that initial program you applied to, but there's always recourse and there's always ways that you can either get back where you want to be or be like me and absolutely fall in love with the program or the area that they provided you with. And then you can also build your degree just based on the passions that you have. So there's lots of opportunities.
I have heard of so many students who received an alternate offer who absolutely loved the program that they were admitted into. Yeah.
You know what? The people that are doing this are, that are thinking about the different alternate programs that you can get into are phenomenal. It's almost like they know exactly who you are just based on the things that you're good at in high school. But in addition to that, remember that the U of T flexibility is there for you to kind of try things on and figure out what you love and what you don't love. And don't be surprised if in your first year, even if you start taking courses in that program area that you loved in high school, but you find you don't love it as much in university. Instead, you've got 1, 2, or 3 different areas that you're more passionate about and you want to pursue that. And so that change happens and we encourage it, embrace it. We did have that video at the very beginning of the presentation with Professor McEwen from ICCIT. Communication Information Technology. She said, embrace the change. And I agree, do it.
Absolutely. Now, Jen, I do have a final question that I do think is rather important.
Okay.
And the question is from SM, and it's about enrolling in courses. When can we start choosing our courses for September?
Fantastic. All first year courses, students that are entering into first year, you're not going to pick those courses until July. I believe they've actually set it for the 2nd week of July. So my suggestion to you, feel free, check out your program plans, check out, the academic calendar if you're really interested in it. But again, don't borrow any of that stress that's not yours to borrow. Take some time to decompress, finish off your courses in high school or your semester in college or university. Make sure that, you're feeling comfortable and confident. We're going to sign you up, or not sign you up, but provide you with a lot of opportunities to register for webinars with our academic advisors. There's Eagle Connect program that's going to, help engage you and kind of tie you into the university, and lots of ways that you're going to learn how to register or enroll for your courses, as well as what courses you should be enrolling in. That will all happen a little bit later on, I believe beginning in about June. So keep your eyes open. Maybe we can also put a link in the chat for the new student website. And I do encourage students to take a look at the new student website. If you have been admitted, the second box there is actually for course enrollment, and you'll learn an awful lot there as well.
That's wonderful. Now, I said that was my last question, but it's not. This is now my last question. It's both for you, Jen, and Arianne. When you think about the UTM campus, what is it that you miss the most? Arianne, let's start with you.
Oh man, there's a lot. I can't just pick like one. So I'll say a couple. Definitely my favorite building, MN. Being able to participate in clubs and like collaborate, because although we do have the online platform, it's still different when you get to like meet in person and like form that bond. And lastly, just the environment, because our campus is like very nature, like surrounded by a lot of nature. And so whenever I'm just stressed from like coursework or anything like that, just go for a walk, especially in the fall. So pretty. And I just really, really miss that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Jen.
Yeah, I have to agree. I love the green space. I miss it so much. I miss the deer. Deborah, I've seen deer more with you when we've been walking over to the bistro in Deerfield Hall to pick up our lunch. And I don't get to hang out with you or the deer, which is a little sad. But one day, someday soon, very, very soon, fingers crossed, we're going to be doing it again and seeing the deer and seeing the green space, seeing the rest of our colleagues and all the students. I miss Septembers when students are all gathered around and, you know, trying out their courses and navigating the campus. I love that too. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
So am I. Well, that's it for my questions, Jen.
Those are brilliant questions. Thank you for asking them, Deborah, and thank all of you for asking them. Arianne, thank you so much for the tour. Thank you to the people that we have in the background. That would be Lewis and Cindy that are answering all of your questions. Thank all of you for joining us tonight. I hope that you've learned a little bit more about the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Don't forget to check out the virtual tour. It goes nicely with Arianne's tour that she gave you, minus Arianne, sadly, but it's still a really good complement to what she's been able to provide you tonight. Again, if you have any questions, any concerns, don't forget that you can reach out to us. We are real people that will answer your emails and answer your phone calls. And until then, make sure that you keep masking up, wash your hands, stay physically distanced like pros, and we will be able to meet you hopefully in some of our other webinars that are coming up, like Ask a Recruiter or, you know, any of the enrollment webinars that are coming up as well. So we will definitely stay in touch with you and you stay in touch with us. And don't forget to check out the Instagram page. So have a great night, everyone. We'll see you later.
Bye.